Well, hi, friends and family. Hi, loved ones. Hi, fools. Hey, I just wanted to get on here for a few minutes and talk about what I've been working with and playing through, working through, practicing, and yeah, just being with as best I can and I'm able to. And so the last couple of videos I've shared have been about the dismemberment, and it's been about sorting through certain things, sorting through the wheat and the chaff, seeing what is useful and what is no longer viable, what no longer serves or is in alignment with the integrity of the whole. And so this is like a really potent opportunity. We're in this potent window of the Scorpio full moon, and that energy, yeah, there's just a lot of potency. It's a super moon, and it's going to be very illuminating. It's, yeah, assist us in clearing and purging the old and revealing what's been hidden. And so I've been doing my own excavations and investigations and looking into some things that I haven't been able to see and that, yeah, relate to like the wounds of separation and the shadow side or the unexplored power of the feminine. And so there is a couple few things that, yeah, relate to that. And it is about our relationship to power and knowing our own power and knowing our own value and knowing our own worth and owning that worth. Yeah. Seeing the true worth of our true nature and who we really are. And so, what I noticed a little while ago, I shared a video last week about like the spirit soul home and the earth, because I was just nudged to share like something about the earth element in this book called In the House of the Moon by Jason Elias and Katherine Ketcham. Yeah, I was just nudged to share on the earth that day, even though I wanted to go into fire and water. But I realized afterward that it was like, oh, this is a perfect time to like balance and align like with the earth energies. And we were moving from a fire sign to an earth sign, and yeah, Taurus. And also, in that chapter, it had mentioned like what happens when there's an excess or an imbalance. Yeah, an imbalance in that earth energy, whether it's an excess or a deficiency. And there were like certain things happening with the collective at that time, and mostly women, and reporting symptoms of like hemorrhaging or I think it's called menorrhagia. It's heavy menstrual bleeding and just irregular bleeding and all of that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, I thought that was really interesting, where sometimes the deficiency in the earth energy can have those symptoms of like the bleeding, and then like gut disturbances, and also like prolapses and things like that. And so, but I thought that was kind of interesting that a lot of women are reporting like abnormal bleeding or heavy bleeding and those kinds of things. And I also heard reports of small children and getting nosebleeds and stuff. And yeah, so that is interesting. If you want to go back, it's at the end of that video, or maybe try and look for In the House of the Moon. Yeah, somewhere to look at that. And so what came up today, like, yeah, I think it's called menorrhagia, and it's heavy menstrual bleeding. And the Chinese interpretation for traditional Chinese medicine on that is that the Chinese offer two interpretations of heavy menstrual bleeding. Deficient spleen and kidney qi cannot hold the blood in its channels. The symptoms include pale, flabby tongue, prolonged light bleeding, like blood is pinkish in color rather than bright red, fatigue and shortness of breath. And the second interpretation is the liver qi stagnation, which leads to heat in the blood. The symptoms include a dark colored tongue with yellow coating, profuse bleeding with dark red blood, and irritability. And so there is like some complementary treatments listed here for, the supplements. So iron, to help with that, blood loss, and beta carotene, vitamin C, bioflavonoids. Exercise, try to stay off your feet and allow gravity to assist you in the healing process. Diet, choose dark green, iron-rich vegetables, kale, spinach, broccoli, and kelp. Root vegetables, carrots, radishes, turnips. Avoid spicy foods, fatty foods, dairy foods, refined carbohydrates, sugar, caffeine, nicotine, and alcohol. The herbal allies are yellow dock to replenish the iron, nettles rich in iron and other essential vitamins and minerals, and lady's mantle to stop bleeding. It says, do not use Dong Quai while experiencing heavy bleeding. It is a blood mover and may intensify the bleeding. And then there's Chinese patent remedies. Yunnan Pai Yao, Yunnan, Yunnan, Pai, Pai, and Yao, Yao. So that is a Yunnan white powder used until the bleeding stops. And then there's something called Gui Pi Wan, Guipiwan, to restore the spleen, to support the spleen. And Tiao, Bu and Tiao, nourish the blood, adjust the period, to support kidney and spleen energies and relieve congestion in the pelvic area. Then they have some acupressure points listed. And the mind-body-spirit connection is the symptoms might be expressing these questions. How am I sabotaging my power and giving it away? How do I deplete myself of nourishment and vitality? How do I let my anger boil up so that it heats my blood and overflows? Am I holding on to feelings, positive or negative, that I'm not willing to give up? And so, I thought that was super interesting on that one. And so again, this is in the House of the Moon, and this book has been through a lot. So, what else can be shared that relates? Oh, so it is about looking at our relationship with power and authority, and how we may have given our power away to an external authority, and knowing our own value and our own worth, and claiming that power, owning our worth. And taking our responsibility to take care for ourselves, to take care and care for ourselves. So, where do I go from here? Let's see, I only have a couple minutes left here. So, what wants to be shared? Also, been looking at my agreements and what I've agreed to and what I've consented to, and starting to choose and pursue certain things. So I'm going to renew my agreements to practice the 4 agreements. And one of those agreements that I've been working on is don't take anything personally. And so nothing other people do is because of you. It is because of themselves. All people live in their own dream, in their own mind. They're in a completely different world from the one you live in. Taking things personally makes you easy prey for those predators who try to send you emotional poison. They can hook you easily with one little opinion and feed you all of their emotional garbage. When you take it personally, you eat it up, and now it becomes your garbage. But if you don't take it personally, you are immune to their poison. You will not eat it. Immunity to emotional poison is the gift of this agreement. You are never responsible for the actions of others. You are only responsible for you. You can say, I love you, without the fear of being rejected. You can ask for what you need without guilt or self-judgment. You can choose to follow your heart and live. As you make a habit of not taking anything personally, you won't need to place your trust in what others say or do. You will only need to trust yourself to make responsible choices. If you are truthful with yourself, you'll save yourself a lot of pain. And that is true. And that relates to a couple things that I'm going to talk about in part 2. All right, thanks for listening. We'll see you later. Take good care of you. Be well. Be true.